man can't find skilled worker. I wonder why. If you had built the STEM schools, them would have had a plethora of skilled individuals in so many different areas of engineering, and that's what they need when they want to really develop a country. And it would have helped us very well in actually having people on the ground ready to rebuild Jamaica after a Category 5 monster hit us. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just another promise that was not fulfilled.
And just to add, within that 6 years after they initially spoke about the STEM schools in 2019, they continued to rub it in our faces. A massive, epic, colossal failure in this government, not building not even a school to help nurture the young minds. In June 2021, you still didn't talk about the STEM school.
Hey, Stacey, what's up?
Pushing for 6 new STEM schools. Come again, November 2023, government secures 4.6 billion loan to fund STEM high school rollout of education management system. And we want to know where the money are there, that $4.6 billion there. Come again now, August 30, 2024, funds being put in place to build 6 STEM schools. We are in a brand new year, 2026. No STEM school.
No STEM school, no build.
And so I reiterate the call with my social warrior brother, Bolo in asking this current administration.
Where the STEM school in there?
Where is the 4.6
billion? Where there? Where's the money?
We want to know what they did with it.
What happened to it?
Because it is the taxpayers who will repay this loan.
Of course.
So all who sit down and don't want to hold this
government accountable, yes.
Only can sit down
and they
continue to tell us that they don't need any opposition. And therefore they don't need us the people. They must not spend our taxpaying dollars any at all.
None at all.
Take any out of it to pay themselves, because half of them are not doing any work on behalf of the people. They're doing work on behalf of themselves and their families. ABR family and viewers, well-thinking Jamaicans, what says you about everything outlined in this video? Please go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel on the road to 50K. Help me to get there by playing your part. Hype the videos. Stay tuned for more videos. Stay tuned for more updates. Big up on yourself. One love. Big shout out to all the ABR members. Love you.
Thank you to Andre. Thank you to Andre for that highlight last night on No ABR News. Where the video is concerned, you know. And what I love about it is that it was organic, because I never told anybody to review it. I saw something while listening to 2 things I was listening to. I was, do you know what sparked it? I was listening to Mystic Sensation. And in listening to Mystic Sensation, I said to myself, wait a minute. I remember Andrew Owners promising some STEM schools. And I went back and looked for the video, and I said, well, here's the video. Here's the video of Andrew Owners promising some STEM schools. So how could he have the audacity to come out and say, the problem is, and it's a long problem, that, you know, we don't have any skilled workers. If you had invested in the STEM schools, the way how you was motivated talking about 6 years, you're trying to get the 6 of them built. If you had built 1 STEM school, we would have applauded it. But, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the monies was allocated, right? The evidence are, the articles are there. We have the articles, we have the data. Nobody can come out and say it's misinformation. All they have done is made promises, ladies and gentlemen. And we heard that it's supposed to happen in 2029. That's not what you originally told us. You told us about 6 years from 2019, and we must wait until 2029 for 1 STEM school to be built. And the Jamaican people, you guys allow this. You guys allow the government to lie to us and make false promises, and then you make excuses for them. Please give the reference to the articles. I'm going to do that. Thank you. I'm going to do that right now. I have them in my phone. I have them on my computer as well. Give me a second. Let me just start my live over here. So. Let me just start my live over here. Alright, so I'm live now on Bolo VNR Clips. Bolo VNR 2.0. And I'm live on TikTok as well. Welcome everybody to the platform. Please remember to like and share. Now, in regards to the articles where the STEM schools are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, let me go to it. Let's go to the evidence. Let's go to the hardcore evidence, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just scroll up a bit. Hold on. Alright, so here we go. So, there was an article by the Observer. PM still pushing for 6 new STEM schools. This was June 29th, 2021 by Candice Horton, Observer staff reporter Horton. That is the first reference. Then, the second reference is Hour Today. There's an article on Hour Today with the then Minister of Finance, Nigel Clark, and the then Minister of Education, Favour Williams. This article was November 20th, 2023. The title says, Government secures 4.6 billion loan to fund STEM high school rollout of education management system. You heard what I said? Government secures 4.6 billion, US 30 million at the time. 4.6 billion loan to fund STEM high school rollout of education management system. Ladies and how are you doing, Colleen? If you guys cannot find the article by Googling it, reach out to me. I will send you the articles, ladies and gentlemen. I have all the articles. I looked them up myself and read them. As a matter of fact, you guys need to tune into my live streams because I actually read them on live. For the persons that were here, they got the direct information, but I can't go over all of that today. Sean W04, big up. I cannot go, thank you. I cannot go over all of that today. Right? This is just the intro of the live. We have other pressing topics to talk about. Michelle, how you doing? So that is another article. There was a Instagram post and a Facebook post by Andrew Honest on his own Facebook page, right? Where he reiterated December 3rd, 2023, we are establishing the first STEAM institution focused on science, math, technology, arts and math. Science, technology, engineering, arts and math. So Andrew Honest took it a step further and said, you know, where say you found me on what? I find you on TT. It's Martha. Hey Martha, what's up? Bless up yourself. Right? So he went further and said, listen, we have Christopher Wagwan, Lorna big up. So he said we have the arts, because you know Colin Bell and the People's National Party always pushing the arts and how we can utilize the arts for the Jamaican people to make a lot of money off this medium here, content creation. The government does not support us enough, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you. If they did, they would be advocating to making deals with the United States to lift the ban on Jamaica. Because there's a ban on Jamaica. Right? We cannot make the money like the ones that are in the US. and stuff like that, if you're registered in Jamaica and your YouTube is registered in Jamaica like mine, you don't get super chats. The only thing you make money off is views. That's it. So when I ask you guys that are watching to like and share the video, it helps the videos to go out. This morning I put out 2 major stories and 2 major breakdowns, and I couldn't believe it. It's like nobody got the notification on YouTube. Nobody. One for 7 o'clock and one for 10 a.m. And when I woke up this morning, I couldn't, like, people are just not watching the videos, or they are not getting the notifications anymore. But we still persevere and we still go on. But that is the reality. Right? So he said, we are establishing the first team institution. That was on Instagram. You can get it on Facebook as well. That's another reference. December 3rd, 2023. There's also a JIS. JIS. This was August 30th, 2024. Funds being put in place to build 6 STEM schools. Build, you know. Build, you know. Build. These are new buildings that's supposed to be built. Keyword, build. And I'm asking the question, where are the STEM schools? Monies was allocated at 4.6 billion. What is taking so long to start? And then it come out in January 2026 to say to us, oh, you know, one of the problems that is being uttered is that we just don't have enough skilled workers. If you had built the STEM schools, we would have had the skilled workers. That would have been a real legacy. If Andrew Honest's government had built STEM schools when he said he would do it, they would have had real legacy, generational legacy, ladies and gentlemen, in a positive way. We would have the engineers out here, the doctors in the sciences, all the AIs, building of robots, all of that. It would have opened up Jamaica to a new market of income. And you know, you would have to have sub-level skilled workers. They would be making a lot of money as well, because it's a massive market and we are a very creative bunch of people. So I asked the question, where are the STEM schools? And I believe that the government needs to come out and address it. Because it cannot be that it's 2029 them expect us to wait on the STEM schools that were promised in 2019. It cannot be. It cannot be. Because the China is supposed to help them build 3. And the government is supposed to build 3 more. And not even one of them to build. Come on, man. Come on, people. This is another reference. The Gleaner. Funding being secured for 6 STEM schools. August 30, 2024. So it came in, it's the same. It came in the JIS website, August 30, 2024. And it came in the Gleaner, August 30, 2024. These are all references that back up my argument in asking the questions. Where the STEM school them there? Richard, big up yourself. Where them there? Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. People have come out and criticized, well, persons that claim that they are, PNP. Claim that they are PNP. Honestly, sometimes I question it. I'm not even going to lie to you. They have a constant attack on the PNP, which I believe is really, really misguided. Because the conversation cannot be the PNP when the Auditor General report is coming out the way it is. I think we have messed up. Or, do you guys watch the movies like, we call it, oh my God, Transformers. Right? You remember when Megatron was landing on Earth and them said his GPS system got messed up and he crashed in the ice? Well, some of the PNP supporters them on the GPS system in a criticism, off, It is off, ladies and gentlemen. I'm being very frank and about it because I've said it on many other platforms. On a GPS system off. If you guys are watching Parliament, what is the purpose of the People's National Party? As an opposition, what is the purpose? To highlight situations. That is their purpose, you know. Their purpose is not to lead protests. When Andrew Holness was in power, was in opposition, I'm going to play something that he said. And play what he said was his responsibility as the opposition. And tell me if this is not the same thing that the People's National Party is doing. I'm tired of it, man. Stop focusing on the PMP. They are not the one running the country. Focus on who is running the country and stop trying to throw them under the bus and switching the actual conversation from where it needs to be. I'm not going to call anybody a sellout, but you guys are very much misguided. You guys are misguided. Anybody that is doing that is misguided. You understand? This is one of the first things he said. I am just doing my job. Listen to this.
One who thinks an ultimate failure of the government. No mistake about it. You know, from our perspective, the law gives the minister a duty to supervise, oversee, and regulate the petroleum industry. There is a failure in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not apologizing to anyone who thinks that in doing my job I'm politicizing. Of course, it is a political matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one must also make the point. As it was in healthcare, we too face certain crises. We too face threats. But the Jamaica Labour Party political administration of the government did not have the results as the PNP had with Chick V and other threats and their babies. Why is it that these things happen under the PNP administration and not under the Jamaica Labour?
You can't say that now. 24 babies dead in a 24 days in a one hospital. Why is it those things are happening under JLP administration? You remember this?
Party administration. Because it's a different political administration. We have two different political views on how things should be managed.
The little things that makes a difference.
Yes.
When you clean the drains.
So I'm not going to make any...
Yeah, Bobby Montague talk about when you clean the drain. And we see what happened just before Hurricane Melissa. All of the things that when them saying, man, they might eat them words, you know, ladies and gentlemen. I want them to go back and listen to these nonsense of them man when I talk, you know, as if them did they on a pedestal of standard of governance, you know, and they knew what they needed to do. And now them in the position and not doing it. The drains them was compromised. Melissa did it in Kingston and see what happened. The whole country would have locked down. Port to port.
Apologies or give any succor to those people who would want to see the Labour Party keep quiet on important issues, political though they may be, but they do impact upon the quality of life that people live.
So you see the hypocrisy of the Jamaica Labour Party. Because while the People's National Party is not being quiet about issues that actually affect the people, political they may be, the People's National Party is doing their job and coming out and speaking out about it. What is the Jamaica Labour Party doing? Criticizing them for coming out and speaking out about it. But they had no problem speaking out about every minuscule issue. So I say again, ladies and gentlemen, the People's National Party is doing their job. Focus on who has the job and not doing it. So I said, General Labourers feel like PNP was picking up for PNP government when they were doing wrong. There might be truth to that, because in every party, you have people who are die-hearted. I am not a die-hearted person. If the PNP do wrong, I'm going to scold them harder than the JLP. That's what a righteous, somebody that wants to be righteous does. You hold your own more accountable than the one you don't support. because you expect higher from them. My mother teach me that, my father teach me that. Another child, them now go hold them to the same standard because it's not their direct child. They did not grow them up. But my mother grew me up, so my mother expects certain things from me. My father expects certain things from me. My sister expects certain things from me. My brothers expect certain things from me. We hold each other accountable in that regard. Because we know the stock where we come from. You feel what I deal with? So, I just want the people to understand it. Because me hear an argument on Colin Bell's show. The argument is that, and I'm mashing me here say this. The argument is that the PMP is the people's lawyer. No. No, the PMP is not the people's lawyer. The PMP is the people's supervisor. The PMP is the people's supervisor. They are there to supervise the government, and where there are irregularities, raise the alarm to the public. And I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, hasn't the PMP been doing that? Haven't they been doing it even more since 28 of them in a parliament? You see type of pressure with the JLP under. So can we stop saying that the PMP needs to do more? They are doing their jobs. What did Andrew Honest tell the people to do? Raise their voice in concert against the government.
That's right.
So when the man them telling you the things them that is going on, they are giving you the tools to raise your voice in concert against the government. So why are you guys running away from your responsibility in the democratic process, PMP supporters? Why we not look one savior from the government, from the PMP? Why we not wait for the PMP to put foot on the ground? Dr. Dawes gave you guys the ammunition for proper outrage. And what have you done with it? Sit down and blame the PMP for not coming out when they came out and gave you the information. Make it make sense. And another thing, you are the boss. You, the Jamaican people, are the boss. The JLP is the manager of the business and the PMP is the supervisor. You are asking the supervisor to fire the manager. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You guys are asking the supervisor to fire the manager and the CEO. Make it make sense. That don't make no sense. You guys are reducing yourself to a lesser power than you actually have. The people have the power. The people is the government. They are called government representatives for a reason. So if they're not representing well, we supposed to say, to away with you. Christopher Tufton should resign immediately from the pressures of the people on the ground that are suffering. That is how it's supposed to go, ladies and gentlemen. People want to talk about the PMP using their platforms and social media. Granted. But I've seen them use it. I've seen them use it. Perfect example is what happened with Mr. Dr. Alfred Dawes. Where are my moderators? Because I not tolerate no laboratory over here now. Right? Perfect example is Mr. Dawes coming out with a series. A series of information, right? Factual information that shows the erosion not only in the UHWI but in the entire Ministry of Health. And we saw the CRC, the CRH nurses run out, rats on the floor, resuscitating people on the floor, not enough beds, not enough chairs. What are you, the Jamaican people, waiting on to raise your voice in concert against the government, the corrupt government? That's what Andrew Honest asked you to do when he was in opposition. And now he's the government and his government is corrupt. Won't I wait pan? The Labour right them did raise their voice, you know? So the onus is on you, the PMP supporters, and well-thinking Jamaicans to raise your voice in concert against the corrupt criminal government. And they are criminals. A whole heap of criminal activity are going on and then watch. Whole heap of criminal activity. Gag order government. No transparency. No accountability. No proper procurement. No documentation about things that were given the fertilizers from Morocco. Ah no, they can't show one piece of paper and say the thing went to the intended people, you know, where it's supposed to go to, you know. Millions and millions of dollars of fertilizer. Floyd Green. Mr. No Movement Day. Criminal. Breaking the laws of the COVID-19 rules. And never got charged for it. Why? Because we had a DPP that appeared to be severely compromised. You see how the DPP work? You see how much people get locked up? You see how much court case are pushed forward? One by one they'll be going to jail, ladies and gentlemen. One by one they'll be going to jail. God not sleep. It can't continue. This is the year of reckoning. They must go away. They have eroded our trust. They have eroded our systems of good governance. And you talk about the PMP not doing anything. Let's go to Mr. Golding. Right? And I have to say big up to Partner Jar TV, because this issue, one of the issues that Mr. Golding is going to speak of, ladies and gentlemen. And I posted the video on my platform, right? So you guys can go and check it out on your own time. Because you know, I love stop a video. So you guys can go check it out, the full video. Alright, any platform. Listen to Mr. Golding.
Greetings, Jamaica.
Why is it so low? No man, something alright. Only give me a second there, people. I can't work with that something. I've got to turn up my you know, so I know why. I know exactly why. I know exactly why it's low. I just realized. I know exactly why it's low, because I have on my OBS. I was recording something but it went bad.
And the greetings, Jamaica.
Yes.
Today I want to issues of governance that are topical at the present time and that I'm finding troubling. There's a whole question of the bureaucracy and the integrity of Jamaica's civil service. Now, the position of permanent secretary is in the civil service in any ministry. It is a permanent post for the career of that person, that officer who's appointed. That's why it's called permanent secretary. That person runs the ministry from an administrative.
I don't know why that is so low, honestly.
From government.
I'm gonna fix it.
Party forms of government.
I'm gonna
So
fix
it's
it.
very important, and it is the tradition and the greetings Jamaica in our system.
Yeah, this one is a bit low.
Today I want to speak
Yes.
to you about some important
This is a bit
issues of
louder.
governance that
Hi,
are
Ronice.
topical
Karen,
at
what's
the
up?
present time and that I'm finding troubling. There's a whole question of the bureaucracy and the integrity of Jamaica's civil service. Now, the position of permanent secretary is the senior position in the civil service in any ministry. It is a permanent post for the career of that person, that officer who's appointed. That's why it's called permanent secretary. That person runs the ministry from an administrative perspective, from government to government, whichever party forms the government. So it's very important, and it is the tradition and the convention in our system, that permanent secretaries are independent, non-partisan, non-political, above reproach. Now, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport retired effective December last year. And a new person has been appointed as the permanent secretary. That person is Kedisha Campbell-Rochester.
Kedisha Campbell-Rochester. Alright, Kedisha Campbell-Rochester. I think it was a few days ago, PDTV News highlighted this very thing. He's the one that I heard start the conversation about her appointment. And she has been working with Andrew Jones for years. The person that holds the position of the permanent secretary in any capacity, whether it be Ministry of Energy, wherever, they are supposed to be apolitical. What does apolitical mean? Apolitical means that you're neither PMP or JLP, you don't subscribe to, you don't deal with politics none at all. You're supposed to be an independent, non-partisan, right? And have certain levels of integrity. Now that post in the energy ministry is now compromised with putting Kadisha Campbell Rochester at there. It is also alleged that her husband is Andrew Jones' bodyguard. What can go so? We are seeing a pattern, ladies and gentlemen, with the Jamaica Labour Party in these types of things. They have eroded all trust. They have violated all principles of democracy and good governance. Dennis Strong appointment is also one of those. Dennis Strong appointment at the FID is also one of those. You understand? And there's many other examples, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue.
Mrs. Campbell Rochester formerly was in charge at the Constituency Development Fund unit within the office of the Prime Minister. But she is somebody who has had a close association with an MP. In fact, the MP is Andrew Holness, Prime Minister. She was the director of his NGO.
She was the director of his NGO, a non-profit organization, Positive Jamaica Foundation, that came up in the Auditor General report. Ladies, no, not the IC report. No, listen to me.
His non-profit, Positive Jamaica Foundation, which was called up in the Integrity Commission report on his affairs. She was also, I believe, the director of the West Central St. Andrew Trust, another NGO that he has in relation to his constituency. How can it be right that somebody...
How can it be right, ladies and gentlemen, for this lady that has been a servant of Andrew Holness in personal affairs, in high positions of his personal organizations, non-NGOs, how is it possible that she is given a position in the Ministry of Energy as permanent secretary? What was the process in finding somebody for the position? Did anybody else get an interview, or was this a strong arm, partner draw situation? Favoritism, nepotism, cronyism. That's what it appears to be. No apology. How is it possible that this lady is so integrally involved in so much different areas of Andrew Holness' business life, political and otherwise? And her husband allegedly I want to bodyguard them, and she get that position for a permanent secretary, an individual that is supposed to be a political person. How can this be right? So we ask the question. We say, oh, the PMP is not. I want to see PMP do it now. They've been doing it. Somebody said it is called keep it in the circle of family. Mighty God, Mandy, how are you doing? Mandy, how are you?
That is so closely involved in the governance of the arrangements, or was so closely involved in the governance of the arrangements for somebody's constituency being appointed a permanent secretary in the civil service.
So she was involved, ladies and gentlemen, in Andrew Holness' constituency, which is a political position. She supported and facilitated him in gaining his win. She was a part of the team. This cannot be right. Right? Cannot be right. And we know that they're barefaced, We know the government is barefaced. Because you guys have created a monster. You, the people of Jamaica that voted for these people, You who took the money. I was listening to Perry last night. Big up Perry in Christ. And he spoke about some personal confessions that people made in his own constituency. People that he knew personally. And said, boy, one of them said, boy, Perry, you know me in a JLP, no man, but the money did sweet. They took money. The JLP bought votes. This is not a if now, but now, maybe it's all over the street. They bought vote, a whole heap of vote buying going, ladies and gentlemen. People now hide and talk. Them a talk brawling. You understand? But they are guilty as the JLP because they facilitate corruption. They facilitate a country that is, how you doing, Winnie Maid? They facilitate a country that is, the foundation of it is corruption. One friend of mine that's a JLP tell me, say, oh, a drugs run the world. They embrace the criminal organization, ladies and gentlemen. They embrace the criminal organization. It is their belief that the country cannot run without criminality. And it can't prosper without criminality. Their version of prosperity is criminality. Cocaine coming through the country and all of these things. And guns. That is their version of, and donship. That is their version of prosperity. They're morally bankrupt. They're ethically bankrupt. They're spiritually blind. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the PMP does. It doesn't matter if they come and ask and start a protest. If the fabric, Star Girl, what's up? If the fabric of the society is backing criminality, it is so bad. Let me tell you how bad it is that we're backing criminality. I heard PMP supporters say the PMP have going to start buy vote too. Because that's the only way them are going to win. That is how far gone we are as a society. They keep calling on the PMP to operate in the manner of the JLP. And I'm like, why? If we are standing on integrity, Jetline, big up. If we are standing on integrity, we are standing on integrity. Nobody said it would be easy. It's not easy to be disciplined. That's why them sell them soul. That's why them sell them soul.
Doesn't look right to me, and I'm bringing it to your attention. Of course, there's a broader question of the wife of the head of government, the wife of the prime minister, being appointed the umpire of the affairs of parliament, the legislature, as Speaker of the House. Again, how can that be right? The tradition in our system of government is that the Speaker is an independent person. Even if they come from one side or the other, they are supposed to act impartially and independently to ensure even-handedness and fairness in the conduct of parliamentary affairs. How can it be right that the wife of the head of government, the Prime Minister's wife, is the umpire in Parliament in the form of the Speaker? We objected to this strongly when the decision was announced that he was going to be reappointed Speaker after the last election. Despite our objections, the appointment went ahead. Again, doesn't look right. It isn't really consistent with the way in which the Westminster system of democracy, which is what we adhere to, ought to function. The last point I want to address is this JPS
Pablo, big up.
$1 million loan. Now, we, all of us, want to see electricity restored. to all Jamaicans as quickly as possible.
Listen to this.
Asked the minister, and I express my sympathies for anyone who is still without work. We had raised the question because the minister came to Parliament in December and said that the funding required to restore the grid was 350 million US dollars at least. And yet the amount of money that the government would provide was 150. Now remember, the government is a 20% shareholder in JHS. The other 80% is owned by two overseas companies, Arabani of Japan, East West Power, South Korea. They weren't putting any money up for the restoration because the minister had given a notice earlier in 2025 saying that their license was coming to an end and wouldn't be renewed in 2027. So they didn't have any security that they would still be in charge of Jamaica's electricity grid come 2027, and they weren't going to put up any money without any security. So the government was putting up money far beyond its 20%, but still at least $200 million less than the minister told us was needed to fix the grid. We asked him, how is it a good idea to put some funding in without knowing how the necessary amount would be reached and obtained? He never answered that question. I asked him again on Tuesday. Again, he dodged the question. I'm saying, a matter as fundamental as this, where government resources, it's really a proceeds of a catastrophe bond, 150 million, has been lent to company JPS that Jamaica owns 20% of, in a scenario where we're told that the necessary resources to do the job is 350 million, so it's not even half of what's required. How is it a good idea to proceed without explaining how you're going to finance the full restoration project? Who is not going to have their life restored because the money can't stretch to what is needed? These questions have never been answered, despite how important this issue is to Jamaica this time. Again, not good governance, people. We need to be vigilant. We need to stay on our toes because things are going in a direction that suggests that we have concern that we must be vigilant about. Over to you.
So, Mark Golden is raising the alarm on three key issues. One, Keisha Rochester appointment as permanent secretary at the Ministry of Energy. Two, the reappointment of the Speaker of the House, Andrew and his wife. Although the objection, the clear objection of the People's National Party. This is a do what they want government, you know. So you see, when them come and them gaslight people and talk about the PMP is holding them back, I don't want to hear it. They don't respect the recommendations of the People's National Party. That clearly would help in gaining the trust of all well-thinking Jamaicans. We don't trust the government with the Prime Minister's wife as the Speaker of the House. You guys notice how differently the House is running since she's not there? Turning off people's mics. If we were to choose between the two devils, because the other Speaker of the House is a devil too, right? The two evils, then he's the lesser evil, she's the ultimate evil. Who remember before Hurricane Melissa, when key questions were being asked in the House of Parliament in regards to the drains, in regards to contractors getting their money, and the reason why certain things are not being done to prepare us for the storm. And she's shutting off people's microphone. Because the truth, ladies and gentlemen, was compromising the lies that his government, her government, was telling about their performances. And so she's not in the seat as Speaker of the House in the capacity to serve us, the people of Jamaica. She's there to serve the interests of the party, maintaining its power so they can control the narrative. The point of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, Andre, big up yourself. The point of the matter is, the People's National Party had an uphill task from they had 14 members in the parliament. It is now strengthened with 28. The uphill task is still an uphill task. They are not the government. We are the boss. They are the supervisors we hired to supervise the Jamaica Labour Party. And they're doing an excellent job supervising them. Some of you might not watch the Senate. Some of you might not watch the Parliament. So you do not know how much they're holding them accountable. The other day, there was a debate between Favour Williams and Mark Golding, right? Which I couldn't understand why the position of the government was the position of the government. They come to us and they say we are in a climate change era. Era, same thing. Right? This is a climate change era, where we have these monster storms and it's coming more and more and all of that. Mark Golding came up and said, well, why are you putting a cap on the amount of money we take from the budget every year to help us to recover from these potential monsters? Why would you do that? Didn't you see what happened with Hurricane Melissa and it just grazed us? I mean, Hurricane Beryl and it just grazed us? Didn't you see what just happened with that hurricane that actually hit us head on? We don't need to be putting on a cap on the money to help us to recover from a potential monster coming again. We need to have as much money as possible for that. That was the argument of Mark Golding in a nutshell, you know. And they gave back of the class responses. They just basically said, you know, this is how we want to do it. So we're not going to take your recommendation. Equally, Mr. Isaac Buchanan stood up and the back of the class, Dalrymple, jump up and start scream like a hooligan, talking about that is an underhanded, what is this? That is an underhanded shot at the government. When Isaac Buchanan said, listen, you know, I know that this government is not doing no chaka work when it comes to legislation. Because he even complimented Miss Marlene Malahou for it. Right? I'm still questioning that, but hey, I'm going to leave it alone. But that's what happened. Right? That's what happened. But you know, lawyers have to play nice. That's what I realized. The lawyer firm thing, them can't really attack each other. They rarely do. Right? Well, let me find that clip for you for better context. Because I know context matters. Big up Isaac Buchanan. Let me just find the last statement that he made, because I know exactly where it is. I don't want to play the whole thing. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
That is a compliment. So it is not an attack on John to direct the process that we want. So while it is that I take no objection to advancing and improving and modernizing the legislation, and hope that we never would have again a scenario which took place in the Sean Campbell matter, which went all the way to the Privy Council, is that we must ensure that the legislation is meeting the object and purpose and the mischief that is tried to correct. And in the absence of correcting the appellate jurisdiction where that lies, and in the absence of or the attempt, not intentionally, but it has the effect of circumventing the Criminal Justice Administration Act, that it just needs to be revisited. I did painstakingly read the legislation and wondered if the member from, well, I didn't wonder, I kind of said that the member from Western St. James, West Central St. James, took no part in this legislation. I just wondered, because I know the government doesn't do pitchy-patchy work. And that person in part is very, and the member from West Central St. James is very pedantic and exacting.
No, every day I listen to Parliament, Isaac Buchanan teach me a new word.
Mr. Speaker, I do right.
Pedantic. She's very pedantic.
Because I know the government doesn't do pitchy-patchy work.
The man said, I know the government does not do pitchy-patchy work. And Marissa Dalrymple run out. Marissa Dalrymple will get charged for lie to the Integrity Commission. Huh? Baga. Do you know that they had to take back the thing and fix it up? All of the noise that she make. So do you guys see that the PMP is doing their job, ladies and gentlemen, in protecting the rights of the citizens of the country? What they are being paid for, they are doing. The Isaac Buchanans, the senators, everybody. Speaking about the senators, there's another release that came out today, a new series from Mr. Cleveland Tomlinson, the young man, one of the bright sparks in the People's National Party, also a finance connoisseur. Yes? Listen to this. No, that part them I don't want to hear because the music is a problem.
In this new series, we shall bring you the essential contributions, the pressing questions, and the often overlooked details from the upper house of Parliament. Our focus is on scrutiny and holding power to account, and also on amplifying the matters that affect communities across our nation. Today, from the opposition standpoint, a consistent theme emerged: the quality and equity of recovery in wake of Hurricane Melissa. So, while government presentations were made, senators from our side actually sought clarity, timelines, and inclusive action. Firstly, Senator Keisha Anderson addressed the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The minister, after a 7-week absence, delivered an extensive case study at the recovery in Mordor. Senator Anderson welcomed the aid for 70 vendors and 26 fishermen there. But her questions went to the heart of national policy. What of the MSMEs and other affected communities? When will their health and dignity be restored?
Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you what happened there and break down what the man is saying. So Albin Hill jump up in a parliament and I talk about a minuscule achievement from the Jamaica Labour Party. One that could be argued is Sean Paul really is the one behind those people's shops. The material and some of them get a Sean Paul, you could have said, started the initiative, funded the initiative, and them now I come take credit for it. It can be argued that, but either way, Albin Hill run out and he made it seem as if, yo, this was so amazing. But there's the People's National Party is saying that is one group, small group of a larger group of the SMEs all around the island. What's the update on the other people that have been affected in different areas of the storm? So they come in the parliament with a minuscule achievement, small, very minute, tiny, compared to the larger picture. And the PMP have to check them on it respectfully. Well, what is going on with the other areas? After how much weeks? 3 months, After 3 months, we don't see Albin Hill. And Albin Hill come run out and let it seem like, oh, listen, we are doing great work, man. And then when he was asked for a timeline as to when certain things were supposed to be put out there that he was talking about in terms of accountability. He told us, no, we can't give you a timeline. We will do it soon. This is we are establishing government, you know. It's them are gonna do it government, you know. It's never that it's done, you know. It's breaking ground, it's on its way, but it's never done. That is this government. These are the promised government, but not fulfilled government. This is a so-called making commitment government, but never fulfilling their commitment government. This is the government we actually tell you, say, baby, I am with you for life, but them have 6 side chick. You hear what I said? This is the reactive government. It's like how my video gone viral now on TikTok and everybody a talk about it. About the STEM school them. I bet so you hear them say something about the STEM school them. I bet you see them run out. Because everybody is really wondering, but no. Honestly, you said 6 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. 2025 done. Where's STEM school in there? Where is the STEM schools? And then coming to tell us that, oh, you know, we don't have enough workers. We don't have enough skilled workers. Duh. You never build a STEM school then, brother. You never, where's the Chinese money? Where you say the Chinese then when I help you to build 3 STEM school and you when I go build 3 as a government. Making 6. Where is it? Wagwan Royal Empire, where is it? So this government is the reactive government, is the promise government, is the lack of making commitment government. Like I said, it's the government will tell you, say, baby, I love you and I don't want anybody else. But them have 10 side chick. And if I was to look at it from a man perspective, this is the type of government that is a female that give you 10 jacket. Lily white baby a come out and you want somebody from Sudan. You want somebody from Congo. And one white pitney with blue eye come out and she tell us a fear pitney. That is this government. Wicked. Zenik, big up yourself. Zenik, big up.
Of registered businesses
Wicked man.
and MSMEs. The situation she
Mickey
has
Wagwan.
is the same in all storm-affected areas. She called, in essence, for, again, a confirmed fee waiver for a year, demanded an update on DVJ's funding, and asked what dialogue has been had with key stakeholder groups, such as the MSME Alliance and the Small Business Association, and also the local chambers of commerce. Her closing statement was unequivocal. MSMEs are the lifeline of communities. When they fail, communities die.
Minister Hill, today 7 weeks since the 5th of December. At that point, we had dialogue and video on board, and don't get me wrong, I am very happy for the 70 vendors, 26 fishermen and the families that benefited from what has been done in Border. I guess my disappointment is that Border seems to be a very good case study of what can be done, but I wonder about the many other areas like that in the communities that were hard hit. Okay, and I really wonder if they are feeling that their dignity has been restored in this time period. And if I look wider, I think of the MSMEs as a whole across the communities that were hard hit. As I had said back in December, that the MSMEs, the small businesses or hairdressers or shopkeepers are the lifeline of any community, and if they die, then the community dies.
Continuing on post-Melis.
You see that the PMP is standing up for the people that need them to advocate on their behalf in pushing the government to actually act with alacrity. Yeah, the 70 vendors, them we're glad about that, but what about the hundreds and thousands more individuals that have not Wagwan Gather and Godson? What about the hundreds and thousands of other individuals that are suffering? When are their dignity is going to be restored? What is the timeline? They should wait what? 3 more months? Several more weeks? Thank you, Chantel. Bless up yourself, Anthony. So the People's National Party is doing their job. All of them. This is an example.
Senator Lambert Brown raised a critical concern regarding border. He sought a definitive timeline for the construction of a protective facility to safeguard the area from the sea. He reminded the Senate that similar promises were made in 2007. So while welcoming current efforts, he demanded more than just the vague assurances that we have been getting from the administration. Furthermore, Senator Brown emphasized the need for a non-partisan approach to national recovery. He urged the government to move away from what he termed the my administration language. He also posed a direct question. Was the opposition spokesperson on agriculture and member of parliament for Eastern Westmoreland invited to recent relief efforts in border?
But part of the reason why it's named border is that it borders southwest St. Elizabeth and eastern Westmoreland. And in the national recovery, it's important that we show a bipartisan approach, a national rather than a my administration approach. And so I want to ask, was the member of parliament for Eastern Westmoreland and the spokesperson for the opposition on agriculture, Dr. Dayton Campbell, invited to this function?
As a community.
So, yes, Dr. Dayton Campbell was invited. That's what he said. But he did not show up. But the core of it is, ladies and gentlemen, there are promises made by the administration and are not fulfilled. And we can track them back. And Lambert Brown highlighted that as well. One of the other things that Mr. Cleveland Tomlinson said is that this rhetoric that always comes out of the Jamaica Labour Party's mouth, especially when the Prime Minister is speaking, they always like to talk about my administration. They are constantly campaigning, you know? So I don't tolerate no Labrat coming on my platform telling me I must come off my Prime Minister's name. He is constantly campaigning. And he's campaigning off of disinformation and misinformation. Right? And exaggerated claims. Right? Talking about the economy grew this amount and all that nonsense. So we are, as long as he's lying, we're going to be speaking. And them say, when this man open his mouth, the only time him not lie when he not open his mouth. So do the maths. So we always are going to speak. Febby, big up yourself.
Between two constituencies.
You understand?
Argued for inclusive representation moving forward. And this is essential if we are to have a very good recovery process. On education, Senator Small Ferguson sought clarity from the minister. He acknowledged an expected decline in attendance in the hardest hit parishes, but demanded the data. As the minister compiled comparative figures against pre-Melissa baselines. More importantly, what are the concrete strategies and specific targets to improve attendance? And within what timelines?
So a lot has been said about the reopening of schools, but I wonder, Minister, is there any data available for re-attendance at schools in the post-Melissa period, and how?
This young man, Mr. Ferguson, you must be proud. Dr. Ferguson, you must be proud, sir. Same one of them fire from minister as Minister of Health, because Andrew wanted to hear the dead baby them, but him never hear the one them down at Jubilee Hospital and at Christopher Tufton. But I digress. Mr. Ferguson, you should be very proud, sir. This young man asked the best question out of all of the PMP. His question was the best, one of the best questions asked. Yes, school is opening, but what about the attendance? How does the numbers look like? What does the numbers look like? Because to be frank, you know, ladies and gentlemen, when you think about it, you know, people are displaced, them not have no house. These same people have children. Do you think that's going to affect their child going to school? Them not have money. They're not on a job. So opening up school and not fixing the same SMEs problem them. You have people work from home and need electricity. The ears just of them and all them people. It's going to affect the children attendance in school. Is the government willing to pay to house the children them? So I mean, there's so many questions. There's so many questions, ladies and gentlemen. So when you hear them highlighting and gaslighting, saying them open schools, at what capacity? There was a report about a teacher that is sleeping in a school. That was a question that was asked by Miss What's her name? Oh my goodness. Hold on, people. What's your name again? Let me see. What's your name again? I miss it in a man. Oh, I don't remember her name, but she came up and she asked about she got report from a teacher that is sleeping at a school, don't have any house to herself, but the roof need fixing. And she's told that the school must open and she must fix the roof. School must open this day. You know my school, the man they have tarpaulin over it. So every time you hear the Jamaica Labour Party come out and praise themselves about something, context matters, ladies and gentlemen. You have to get the finer details about it. Yo, these people can paint a pig, make a pig look like a beauty queen. But if you don't realize your makeup, wash off your makeup and see what happens to you. You're going to see the harsh reality. You heard what I said? That is this government. That is their strategy. And you must keep, what did Mark Golding say? Keep vigilant. Worrying trends, ladies and gentlemen. Worrying trends. We have to keep our eye on the FID because remember say, Dennis Strong is still the chairman. Coming out talking about he's not involved in the Prime Minister's investigation. Who am I to believe that? We don't trust the FID. We don't trust the FID as long as Dennis Strong is in there. We don't trust nothing. And that's a code. I mean, go to court and argue why I don't trust them. And no judge can disagree with me. None. No well-thinking judge can disagree with me as to why I don't trust the FID.
Re-attendance at schools in the post-Melissa period and how that compares to what the baseline we have been prior to Melissa. The second question is, naturally I'm anticipating that there's a difference in attendance, particularly in the most affected parishes. What are the specific initiatives that the ministry is pursuing in relation to improving attendance numbers, and what kind of targets have been set, re-attendance and over what time?
You hear that? So not only he's asking for the specifics, data. Data, if you're not data driven, you're not solution driven. Does the ministry know? And I'm sure they don't. I am positive they don't. Because they haven't even collected all the data for the people and the assessment for people's houses yet. A crying shame. A crying shame. 3 months later, over 3 months, people still haven't been assessed. Right? But they act as if they are the standard bearer. So anyway, find out how much children is going to school now compared to before. Obviously, attendance is going to drop. But if you don't know the data, you cannot come up with a proper solution. So he's asking, what is the government doing in terms of seeking solutions to fill the obvious gap that is going to be there? Once you know the amount, you can gauge how big of a budget you're going to need for facilitate a plan. You understand what I deal with? So, that is forward thinking. Those two questions were actually daggers to the heart of the Jamaica Labour Party. Because if you don't even have the data, how can you move forward? How can you move forward, ladies and gentlemen? You see the data that the government needed? You see the first month, them should have done collect data already. The first month after the storm, they should have finished collecting data. They should have put money behind paying people to go out there to collect the proper data with proper supervision from the Ministry of Labour. This was a time to have all hands on deck. Just like how the PMP suggested. and all hands on deck with proper oversight. So we won't have non-partisan practices or partisan practices. We'll have equity, right? And good standard in terms of helping the people who need the help. Yeah, them don't like the people. Them don't like the people. Them don't like the people.
It was clear. Recovery must be measured by the return of our children to the classrooms. Finally, Senator Flame welcomed the update that all schools have resumed. She commended teachers and community members, including MP Damien Crawford, for his revolutionary Adopt a Child initiative and for the wider stakeholders who inputted the efforts. However, she turned the focus to the well-being of educators themselves. What specific efforts, she asked, are being made to support teachers still operating under the immense strain? When will schools still lacking roof, electricity, and water receive these basic necessities? Hurricane Melissa, she stated, has severely disrupted education, especially in rural areas. Her call was for a clear plan detailing the real needs of our schools and a timetable for tangible and systemic improvement.
I'm telling you, I was impressed by this lady as well. She focused on the mental health of the teachers. People were devastated, you know, ladies and gentlemen. What the people went through, you know, post Hurricane Melissa, during Hurricane Melissa was traumatic, life-threatening. People lost their families, they lost their homes. But you see, afterwards, when all of it started to soak in, and they realized that they were helpless to move forward, that was a different level on their mental. Teachers were affected, policemen were affected, firemen were affected, right? But we're talking about education right now. What about the teachers' mental health? You know what they talked about? You know what they talked about? The Israeli people in the schools them a provide counsel. What can go so? May I go play the clip from Colin Bell after this.
I reiterate, as I did the last time, I would like to hear from the Minister what special initiatives are being made to ensure that teachers' well-being is attended to in the post-Melissa recovery period. While I am happy about the return to the classroom, I am also especially interested in not just the return, but also what is the quality of return. In that regard, I would want to hear more about what exactly it looks like for children to be in school at this time. When should we expect that they have roofs over their heads, that they have water, that they have electricity, and that the conditions are more ideal? And in addition to that, what exactly do the conditions look like on the ground?
In a response to a follow-up question regarding girly and wordy books, Senator Thame raised whether the ministry is addressing gender norms that contribute to gender-based violence. If we know anything, gender-based violence is a serious problem in our society. She also asked whether the ministry has engaged experts to develop age-appropriate reading material for children. Decisions about what children should read should not be left to the personal views of any one individual, but should be guided by the professional expertise and evidence-based policy. And this is an acceptable standard. What unites these interventions is a pursuit of detail over declaration, of inclusive action over partisan presentation, of long-term resilience, short-term remedy. The questions have been laid before the government. The country awaits the answers. For scenes from the Senate, I'm Senator Cleveland Tomlinson. Please join us next time.
So, big up Cleveland Tomlinson. We are awaiting more of that series when it comes to the Senate. Now, in terms of the teachers, right, and the students in schools, listen to this. Listen to this.
A truth does not mind being questioned, boy. We don't mind questions. But a lie doesn't like being challenged. You know a question I want to ask the Jamaican people? Why are we hosting Israelis, so much Israelis? Well, why we need Israelis at Jamaica to even not deal with psychosocial issues with our children? Hold on the Val. I am of the opinion that we're not supposed to have the Israelis here in our schools or in our health sector. Me not agree with it. The greatest genocide in modern day history was done to the Palestinians by the Israelis. Why the backside? We should have Israelis in our hospitals as nurse and Israelis dealing with psychosocial issues with our children. I want to know if the labor rights them out there agree with having the people who are murdering women and children in Palestine. Why we need them to send anybody here? Is that the example Andrea setting for the people of Jamaica? Being friends with people who are committing genocide? How many of you nobody talk about that? Carla, go ahead.
In terms of the quality of learning, that question is one that I also have. It's not perfect, so support across the ministry. And some of it is virtual and some of it is face-to-face. And so our guidance counseling team has been supported by 36 private clinicians across the island. So we have a program in the ministry where we pay private psychologists and psychiatrists. And so they've been helping us to deliver the psychosocial support. And I know there's someone here, and if you give me a chance, I'll give you the name of someone who is here and visiting. And I'll give you that soon. And it's Maya Yairi, who is here from Israel, and she's here with her group. And she's been doing some of the psychosocial work in addition to these. So we have our guidance counselors, we have our local...
What inspired you this morning?
Now you tell me, Yankee Bless big up. Why do we need Israeli officials to come to Jamaica to do psychosocial work? You're telling me there's no trained professionals here in Jamaica to do that in our own culture? I agree with Colin Bell 100%. They probably need counseling. They probably need counseling. More knockings, man. As a talk about scamming, you know, somebody does get one next update. Just get an update, you know. Rotted. I'm not gonna say everything, but a report came out, ladies and gentlemen. The Graves County Sheriff Office just arrested Montego Bay Jamaican resident Hurain Courtney Martin in connection with Deroni's fraud scheme after Martin had flown in to the Fort Lauderdale International Airport on January 22nd as a visitor for pleasure with a valid non-immigration visitor visa. Martin had an active arrest warrant as he was found to have had account. No, I need to find this a story. We need the full story. Hey guys, one I want to send me the link to the full story, please. We need to read this. I'm waiting, alright? Now I'll continue because I'm live right now, but I'll continue with the show. Somebody send me the full story on this. And ladies and gentlemen, it is alleged that this man has some type of connection with the ruling party. It is alleged. One by one they'll be going to jail. One by one they'll be going to jail. Mighty God. What a prophetic utterance. You look at them copy the whole story send give me. See it? See it? See it? Oh my God. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much. So breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Right? The Graves County Sheriff Office has arrested a second suspect. Oh, she sent me the article, see that? Let me go to the article, ladies and gentlemen, because I love the article. This is WPSD Local 6 News. Alright? That is the website. Okay, my people? Graves Sheriff Office, as a matter of fact. This was January 23rd. As so much things happened January 23rd. 83K scam. Mighty God. No. Let me read this aloud. Let me read this aloud. No. This can't work. The scammer them I get catch left, right, and center. Mighty God. Huh? What a thing. The scammer them I get catch left, right, and I mean I talk about some serious scammer them, you know? And a lightweight scammer them, you know? VNR clips, TikTok so they can't hear me, Bolo VNR 2.0 so they can't hear me. For the people on Bolo VNR clips, can you hear me? The light went out. Rupert, pick up yourself. The light, you know when the light just boop and go out and then come back? Yeah man, how that go on. I couldn't control that, lady. That's beyond my control. Come like they don't want me to drop the breaking news. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar, ladies and gentlemen. The devil is a liar. You hear what I said? Good. Let me see how my microphone are going now. Microphone check.
National recruiting company to conduct a CEO search. This is what the board.
All right. So, awesome. This is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, good day. It's your brother Bolo VNR. Breaking news. Just got this update. As you can see, the website, WPSD Local News Network number 6. Yes, it says here that Graves Sheriff Office arrests a man in reported 83K scam. It says here the Graves County Sheriff Office has arrested a second suspect in connection with the investigation into the scamming of $83,000 from a local couple, according to Sheriff John Hayden. According to the Sheriff's Office, the victim received a mailer stating that they won 250 million jackpot. Mighty God. After calling the phone number provided, the victims were told to deposit sum of money to release their winnings. The final amount reportedly sent to the scammers was around 83,000. Upon receipt of these funds, the scammers abruptly cut contact with the victims. The scam reportedly occurred in September 2025. According to the Sheriff's Office, one suspect, Uriane Courtney Martin, a Jamaican citizen, arrived January 22nd at Fort Lauderdale International Airport from Montego Bay, Jamaica. He reportedly applied for admission into the U.S. as a visitor for present customs and border protection officers with a valid non-immigrant visitor's visa. An inspection found an active arrest warrant for Martin for Graves County. When I hear this, ladies and gentlemen, who hearing this, Martin is the account holder of the account in which the victims deposited the funds. Mighty God. Terrorist office, CBP officers contacted the Broward County, Florida Sheriff's Office to confirm the warrant. Martin was turned over to the office and taken to Broward County Jail. Martin was charged with engaging in organized crime and theft by unlawfully taking over $10,000. He awaits extradition to Kentucky to face the charges. Martin's arrest follows the arrest earlier this week of Deroni A. Facey, another Jamaican man accused in the same scheme. The investigation is ongoing by Graves Sheriff's Detective Tony Cornwell. According to Hayden, the criminal complaint for Martin reads, in part, as part of an ongoing criminal investigation where a victim who resides in Graves County, Kentucky, was defrauded out of an estimated $83,000 of money between September 1st, 2025 and September 30th.
Expected. You carried in Fitzgerald Mitchell. Fitzgerald Mitchell, when Chai Chong wanted to get an international CEO, you decided to overturn. You failed in your dereliction of duties. You, Christopher, cannot take away that when the chief medical officer, your best friend, the mice from Manchester, were carrying the drill. We're carrying the drill and charge back the drill to the hospital. You failed the nation, Christopher. You and Carl Bruce and Fitzgerald, the three damn musketeers. The nasty, dirty musketeers who ravished and raped the hospital. It is your feeding tree, Christopher. It became the feeding tree for all three of you. It became a major conflict of interest. According to Tai Chong, amongst the cast, Ishmael find back the picture with him and Carl Bruce, birds of a feather, flock together.
Embarrassing.
Among the cast, when it was appointed in November 22, was to hire a transformational CEO who would push the board's agenda, bring accountability to management, unleash the engagement of the staff members at all levels of the institution. He said before the search started, the board recognized that the government salary would not be sufficient to attract the quality individuals it needed. And it sought to receive permission to have the private sector top up the salary of the selected CEO. The board unanimously approved contracting a professional
Marley, what's up?
To conduct a CEO search. This is what the board did. And selection that would have to stand the scrutiny of the audit. Put up by the document, Ishmael. The recruiting professional has worked for many of the largest companies in Jamaica and the government of Jamaica, and they are accustomed to meet the recruitment rules and demanding transparency and documentation, Chai Chong said. I met with the minister who disagreed with the board decision and expressed his wish for the acting CEO not to be removed and for the CEO search to be restarted.
Send me the receipt.
I awaited the decision to overturn
Did
the
you
board
screenshot
decision
it? Send me
to
the
move forward,
receipt.
after which I respectfully tendered my resignation. He never wanted, he did not want Jamaica. He did not want Fitzgerald Mitchell to be removed.
Help. We out of the letter.
Immediate divine intervention. We're tired of the labor rights. He added that he led a brave board with members who were willing to tackle the issues which have for years been a source of the decline of the U.S.
When you send it, just send me the receipt because it shouldn't be an issue
of disenrichment even among staff members. Here's what Chai Chong said. Among the discoveries and actions taken by the board was the implementation of the hospital information management system. That's the HR system. But which had languished in the works from 2017. And an internal audit which discovered a number of irregularities in contracts awarded and purchasing practices. These are from 2022. We're not 2026. Chai Chung, Jamaica. Chai Chung wanted to fix these things, so Christopher knew about what was happening. He said the board also detected incidents of suspected fraud at the hospital's payroll department, and arrests were made, and it took steps to increase the billings and collections, which were in excess of 30% of the potential billing revenue of the hospital, which either were written off or not collected.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without question, that destroys any narrative that Christopher Tufton wants to float around in telling us that he is not responsible. He's directly responsible. He knew the situation when Mr. Chai Chung was there. Mr. Chai Chung wanted to fix these problems. He decided that he's going to dissolve the board. The board was dissolved. There was a board recommendation and decision to get somebody from overseas that had the right qualifications for the job to turn around things, that had a reputation for doing same, and he decided that he didn't want that person. He allowed his friend, one of the Manchester boys, to continue in the capacity, not acting but now being the head of the situation. So he can't blame nobody but himself. He's the one to be blamed. And now I want to turn to the article, ladies and gentlemen, from the editorial of the Gleaner, that I have to say big shout out to the Gleaner, right? It says here, UHI procurement, recovery or funeral. What does that mean? The decisions of Christopher Tufton at that point meant either the recovery of patients at UWI or their funerals. Right? And the conditions that the doctors are working in or the students are working in when they should be going to school and not actually going to school. Lady G, what's up? Right? It's his fault. He's to be blamed. Let's go into the details of the story. It says here, over the last 30 years, scandals and controversies relating to governance. Turn on the light, the film movie. Scandals and controversies relating to governance and accountability have become normalized in Jamaica. That one right there, sir. Over that period, the rate of economic growth has averaged, you never charge? Okay. Has averaged less than 1% per annum. So, you see the editorial is looking at the growth of the economy. Yes? Right? So the economy is affected by this as well. Why? Because taxes are being fleeced, ladies and gentlemen. Money that's supposed to come in the purse is being stolen from the UHWI. Right? So you see the connection and how it affects everything. The two phenomena are not unrelated. So in many respects, the quality of healthcare received by Jamaicans are as well. Jamaicans tend to think that healthcare in human terms, doctors, nurses, waiting rooms, hospital beds, and dreaded phrases, no supplies, right? But a big story behind shortages in healthcare sector is the issue of procurement. If the process fails, treatment fails, no matter how skilled or dedicated the medical staff, right? That is why Auditor General's recent performance audit on procurement at the University Hospital of West Indies should not be read as just another public sector controversy. It is bigger than that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I can't look at it now. It should be treated as a serious national warning. The fiscal body is suffering internal bleeding, and the blood loss is being measured not only in dollars, but in delays, dysfunctions, and degraded trust. The audit points to deficiencies in planning, weak documentation, poor transparency. Arbin Hill, you went in Parliament the other day and told us that your government is transparent. You are a liar. Poor transparency in e-procurement and troubling practices such as procurement being conducted after goods and services were already delivered. There are also findings related to misuse of the UHWI tax exemption status, leading to losses to public purse. Right? I mentioned that before, right? None of this is minor bureaucratic sin. None of this is a minor bureaucratic sin. It is a major bureaucratic sin, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a distraction us talking about this, as Christopher Tufton want you to believe. This is major. It is a systematic governance failure in one of the most sensitive sectors of the state, which puts lives at risk. The chain reaction. Systematic failures are not fixed with outrage alone. And procurement failures ought to be seen as single acts of wrongdoing, but as chain reactions involving bad actors, weaknesses in technology, ineffective governance, and above all, a diminution of trust. Right? It's really a diminishing the trust of the institution. Right? Procurement breakdowns always begin with decision making. Power expands beyond accountability. If contracts can proceed without complete files and proper approvals, the organization stops being a rule-based institution and becomes a personality-based one, depending on who is in the room and what they feel like doing. That is a recipe for waste and elite capture, which means people filling their pockets. Petal, how you doing? The board of the UHWI has a major role to play in rescuing the ugly situation. Right? The first solution is not fancy. It is about discipline. No procurement should pass without a complete and verifiable paper trail. Every contract must have a full file requisition, bidding document, evaluation reports, approval contracts, and delivery evidence. Right? Where none of these is missing, payment should be frozen until the procurement is rectified and responsibility assigned. Procurement needs a chain of custody certification similar to what is required of the police in handling evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, if a police officer does not handle evidence properly, a criminal can get off. What we're seeing at the UHWI is the criminals are making sure that they get off by not having the proper documentation. That is what is happening at the UHWI. This is criminal. Right? Next is technology. Jamaica already has an answer. Here, the government of Jamaica electronic procurement system. But the audit suggests, no, listen, the government created a system, a digital system, where all of this must be logged, But the audit suggests a serious gap between the UHWI procurement activity and the publishing of those activities on the government website. Right? The GOGEP. That gap is not harmless. It is opacity. It is an opacity machine. Transparency is not a public relations exercise. It is a vital control mechanism. So again, Arbin Hill, your government is not transparent. Because if they were, they would ensure that years and years of non-compliance to the use of the GOG JEP would not have happened under their watch. Somebody would have there saying, wait a minute, isn't the UHWI doing procurements? Where are the documentation on the website? We don't see it. Where is the internal audits from the government to make sure that these things are being done? That's a managerial responsibility. Moving on. The board and the Ministry of Health and Wellness must ensure that the GOGEP becomes the procurement system, not the procurement option. So it all lies back to who? Christopher Tufton and Andrew Ones and the Minister of Finance, Favour Williams. All of them is to be blamed. If it is not happening, the procurement system is not being used. Because they are supposed to monitor and put the laws and things in place to make sure that it's mandatory. Right? Sanctions for your actions. That's what good governance is, innit? But we're seeing terrible governance from the Jamaica Labour Party. Moving on. A simple rule can change behavior overnight. If the procurement is not on the GOJEP where required, then it is invalid. That single discipline would reduce discretion, widen competition, and make it far harder to hide irregularities behind institutional smokes and mirrors. I be a smokes and mirrors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pointing up fingers when the one finger supposed to point back on the main person, Christopher Tufton, Andrew Ones, and the government. A hospital may be a clinical institution, but it is also a public body that depends heavily on taxpayers' funding. When annual reports and audit financial statements are not produced for multiple years, oversight collapses because no one can see what is going on in a structured way. It is like trying to treat a patient without lab results. Madness, right? The Ministry of Finance and Health, the Ministry of Finance and the Health and Wellness must therefore shift from being only funding bodies to also being enforcers. Subvention should be linked to compliance with governance reporting and procurement standards. This is a part of good stewardship. The state and taxpayers cannot keep paying for a system whose accountability organs are missing. Gone! Nowhere to be found. An important economic truth is that value for money comes from competition, planning, and disciplined contract management. Where planning is weak, urgency becomes a permanent excuse, and direct contract becomes normalized. When this happens, price rises, suppliers capture expands. This is how markets work when the buyer is disorganized. The management of the UHWI must be required to produce an annual procurement plan which timelines and procurement methods approved by the board and reviewed quarterly every 3 months. Right? Direct contracting should become the exemption again. Right? With every exemptional award justified in writing and audited. If benchmarking is added for common equipment and works, procurement becomes a disciplined market, not a private arrangement. On a broader level though, it must be appreciated that procurement compliance and management does not happen in an absence of capability. As the Gleaner has posited in the past, the public sector needs more and better professional procurement officers, especially in the health sector. That means training, certification, systems that can survive changes in leadership. Jamaica must build procurement institutions with competence and high standards. When citizens see procurement irregularities in health, they suspect more than inefficiency. They lose trust. Often this is more expensive than any hospital contract. So when we, the citizens of Jamaica, lose trust in the UHWI, it's going to cost them. And I have lost trust. I don't know about you guys. Do you trust the UHWI at this point? Hey, in the end, the UHWI audit should be treated as a turning point. The procurement breakdown wastes time and resources which may be the difference between patient's recovery or funeral. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the crux of the matter. That is how serious this is. The UHWI situation, right, means the recovery of an individual or the funeral of an individual. The problem has to be fixed because there's going to be more funeral than recovery. And blood is going to be on the hands of Christopher Tufton, while it probably is on his hands already. And Andrew Holness and the finance minister and the entire JLP and members of the board of the UHWI. Because we're going to go back to what Andre Stevenson put out there. Christopher Tufton was at the helm when they dissolved the board to fix these same problems. And the same problems persist. And the people that Christopher Tufton appointed is at the head. So Christopher Tufton is the one to be blamed, ladies and gentlemen. The blood of whoever died because of this situation is on his hands. Nobody else is to be blamed. The first blame lies squarely on his shoulder. Everybody else is substandard blame because he's the one that empowered them. He's the one that put them in their job. He's the one that refused the professional from overseas that flew from the UK. He's the one. And that is my argument. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. God bless you. Last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this. I want to say big up to Craig Beresford. Alright? Big up to Mr. Craig Beresford. He came out in the Gleaner pretty much calling out the government. Breaking news, Police Commissioner appeals court ruling blocking SSP Cameron's removal as POA chairman. This man has no shame. Police Commissioner appealed the Supreme Court ruling that blocked his directive to remove Senior Superintendent Wayne Cameron. He's going to lose. This is the time of truth. He is going to lose. He's been exposed, ladies and gentlemen. How is he different from Andrew Holness? Hold on there. Farmer Gleaner production workers protest over redundancy payments. Company addresses concern. So the Gleaner is putting out the Gleaner's protest. This is unprecedented.
And they're out here. None of us right now have an income. And they're out here suffering. And we need our money.
Wow.
We need it.
Go ahead, yes.
Eric Channel, the Chief Delegate, DIT. And we are out here protesting over non-payment of our redundancy.
Wow.
We were promised this money on the 23rd of January.
Wow.
And at the day when the money is supposed to pay, the company sent us an email that they are going to pay us over 9-month period.
Hey, the 23rd of January is a monumental day. Has so much thing happening 23rd of January, ladies and gentlemen? Mighty God. Mommy, yes. Lend me a phone now. Lend me a phone.
This did not mention we have about 10 meetings coming up with the secretary. When that ministry, and this not, did not mention, no time at all. So we are not accepting that. We want our full payment. And this agreement is an agreement, the heads of agreement between the company and the DIT. We're signed and sealed that we're going to get the money and the credit. And all we are saying that we need our full payment no later than today or the latest tomorrow morning.
And how many members are affected?
45. Production department.
Wow. So only you are going to clean at this one. Mighty God. Gunmen opened fire at a football field in central Mexico, unaliving 11 and wounding 12. Mexico. Central Mexico. Oh, that's actually the country Mexico. Jamaica Fire Brigade reports an increase in emergency calls in 2025. 70-year-old woman dies after being hit by car in Ocho. What? What? When this going? Sunday? Oh my God. Wow. Wow. No, this is terrible. This is terrible. This is actually terrible. 1 second, my people. No, sir. Why, may I tell you, the news is so treacherous. I got to breathe. Back up off of me. I got to breathe. Breathe. Un momento, por favor. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 second. There we go. All right, so real. Get that number, yeah. All right. All right, cool. All right, so let me go back to this now. What? Wow, that's very strange. Find the article here. Criminals cases against former SSL executive moved from parish court to Supreme Court. Wanna hear that? SSL saga continues, the scandal continues. Sly Dunbar has died? What? Mighty God. He passed away at his home this morning. He was 73 years old. Wow. Police helped St. Thomas woman deliver her baby. Big up the police them for that. Big up the police them for that. Excellent. Excellent. Big up them police there for that. Also, this is the lady that died after the service. Wow. Wow. 2 men charged for $2 million robbery at store in Angel, Spanish Town. Wow. More crime there, so. Tough time remedy now underway to ease A&A bed crisis. You hear them or something here? Yo, may I tell you, say, boy, people, boy, may I tell you. A ferry carrying more than 350 people sinks off the Philippines, unaliving 18 people. Wow. Schools wary of gridlock impact. I don't know, I'm gonna get the person, you know. I don't know, you know. Me not get for read it, me not get for read it. Me not get for read it. Yo, the thing terrible, brother. Thing terrible. Man, I tell you. Me still a try for boy. Me I go to the article about the amount of other news that come up. I tell you. It's serious. Tell me who. Residual. Alright, finally I get them now. Hello? Yeah man, Bolo here. You hear me? Yeah man, more one of them special there with the mix. There one. Yes. Yeah man, no problem. Yeah, man. Alright guys, so this is the last article I want to highlight, which is very important. Right? Mr. Craig Beresford said premature court intervention undermines the anti-corruption probe. Right? The bag of sue where JLP has sue the Integrity Commission. Yeah, man. Totally undermining. This man is the new executive director of the Integrity Commission. Remember, his affidavit with you know, that Andrew and his lawyers tried to block under his request. You know, remember? As a matter of fact, I should have that Gleaner report right here now. Don't water down the IC. New exec calls for stronger anti-corruption laws amid rebuild efforts. I have it right there saying about more play it. But I don't know what I go on with the read aloud thing from what there. That more spooky from earlier this evening. Anytime I try to read aloud, I'm not getting anything from the computer. I don't know why. But anyway, he says with billions of dollars flowing into the country to carry out rehabilitation works post-Hurricane Melissa, Craig Beresford, the recently installed executive director of the Integrity Commission, said the legislative framework for the anti-corruption body should be strengthened, not weakened, to enable it to be more effective, carry out its oversight role. Contending that there was a need for a strong Integrity Commission, Beresford cautioned, right, that nothing should be done to water down the legislation. You hear that? Nothing should be done to water down the legislation, ladies and gentlemen. Right? This is what he's calling for. He also said we have to have strong Integrity Commission in order to provide the oversight that is required for the public purse and for the conduct of our public officials, he said. During the last parliamentary session at the Joint Select Committee review, the Integrity Commission Act was well advanced in its deliberation to make changes to the law governing the IC, and an experienced anti-corruption proponent, Beresford, said that every Jamaican would benefit from a strong, independent IC. Speaking with the Sunday Gleaner, and we have to stress the independence part of it, not aligned to any party. Very important. Speaking with the Sunday Gleaner, Beresford said it was vital for the country to have a strong oversight body to monitor the implementation and the use of public funds linked to post-Melissa recovery efforts. I hope that at the end of the existing process, we come out with a stronger legislation. We may change some things in terms of how we function and operate, but the legislation should not be watered down in any shape or form. We have made that clear from the start of the process, said Beresford, who was appointed 3 months ago. There were heightened concerns among many Jamaicans and members of civil society last year when government lawmakers voted to accept a recommendation to remove the Auditor General as a commissioner of the IC. Members of the opposition and the Joint Select Committee reviewing the ICA voted against the proposal. Members of the who? The opposition. The opposition, again, standing in the gap and defending the rights and what is best for the citizens of Jamaica. I think I'll have to keep making notes of this, because people are acting as if the PMP is not doing enough when they're adequately doing their job. A step towards tyranny. Headline: the government vote sent shockwaves among civil society groups, prompting the head of the anti-corruption watchdog to describe the move as a step towards tyranny. The proposal was introduced by controversial government lawmaker Everall Warmington, that little devil. The IC had voiced concern about the proposal and rejected any plan to remove the Auditor General as a commissioner. I am stating emphatically, again, for the record, for the posterity, that I am against this proposal, as it will only weaken the commission. Ladies and gentlemen, the experienced anti-corruption officer, right, is standing squarely against any removal of the Auditor General as a commissioner on the Integrity Commission. Emphatically, and for posterity. What does posterity mean? Posterity. Meaning all future generations of people. Mighty God, for the benefit of the people, the young men and women and children of the future, the Auditor General must not be removed, because if she is removed, the Integrity Commission will be weakened. The Auditor General has been a fixture on the body, set up to monitor the behavior of public officials in their public roles. That has been the position for approximately 50 years. Justice retired Seymour Pantad said in his capacity as then chairman. Apart from its innovation to make a submission to the Joint Select Committee, no member of the IC was among the technical support personnel which provided guidance on the legislation during the period of review. While the committee had written to the IC for clarity on some issues, Beresford said the presence of an IC official during deliberations would have been helpful. So them never invite the IC officials them in their deliberation in this proposal. Going down the wrong road, a step to tyranny was the highlight of that paragraph. Going down the wrong road. Sometimes I watch the proceedings and I am there answering, not even realizing I am not there, because I am saying you are going down the wrong road. So Mr. Beresford is watching the proceedings about the Integrity Commission review and the Oversight Committee, and he's saying, no, you guys are going down the wrong road. And he doesn't even realize that he's not there. The man is so passionate about the thing. That is not, he says, that is not it. That is not how it's done. But you see, you don't have the opportunity because you're not there. He explained. Will the Oversight Committee invite Mr. Beresford because he wants to be there? Will they invite him? I don't think so. Beresford said an executive, they should. Beresford said as executive director, he is hoping to work with Jamaicans and lawmakers towards a corruption-free society. The question is, ladies and gentlemen, does the Jamaica Labour Party want a corruption-free society? I think not. I think not. Their actions speak differently. One may see this as a pie-in-the-sky dream, but the journey is one which we can start now. Acknowledging that Transparency International Corruption Perception Index was just a perception, noting that it could be worse or better. The IC boss said he wants to see Jamaica achieve a better score on the index. Last year, Jamaica had a CPI score of 44 out of 100, where 0 means highly corrupt and 100 means very clean. A CPI score below 50 indicates that the country has a serious corruption problem. So when you hear us say that this government is corrupt, that the country is in serious corruption, it's not a buzzword. The CPI score tells us that Jamaica is massively corrupt. Beresford said he wants Jamaica to achieve a better CPI score as investors look at these benchmarks to make investment and other business decisions. The governance architecture worldwide recognizes it. So if a country is very corrupt, you may find that you have more sanctions or more things attached and associated with your country that will impede development. Among other things, he said, he cautioned that if Jamaica anti-corruption laws are weakened, that would send the country in the wrong direction. As far as the Corruption Perception Index is concerned, pointing to Section 5.4a of the ICA, which states that the Commission is ultimately responsible and accountable to Parliament. Beresford said the IC wants the support of more lawmakers. We are working on behalf of the Parliament. So if the Parliament is fighting the Commission, it's supposed to be accountable to it. We have a problem. The Jamaica Labour Party is fighting the Integrity Commission, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Acknowledging that there would be disagreements between the IC and lawmakers from time to time. The IC executive said that should not prevent Parliament from backing the anti-corruption body as it carries out its mandate. You can't say you want strong commission and at the end of the day, if we disagree, you seek to undermine the commission. End quote. End of the article. I want to say big up to Mr. Craig Beresford for putting this out there. Salute to him. What a darn shame. How can you say you want a strong commission, but when there's a disagreement, you want to undermine the commission, the IC? It should tell us, ladies and gentlemen, what the Jamaica Labour Party is about. We should pray, fast, go down on our knees and beg the Lord to remove them. And then do what it is in our power. Right? And I hear Mr. Wayne Lonesome talk about this all the time. And he's absolutely right. What is the role of you, the people? One of the roles is to have proper, educated discussions around the policies and things that are happening in Jamaica. That is one of the roles of the people. You in your community. You understand? Encourage civics. Learning civics. So they can understand the rudiments and the controls and structure of government. Right? Understand who is responsible for what. Right? It should be in schools. Them say it is, but them say a lot of things. So ultimately, it's our personal responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. Right? To teach our kids. Everybody needs to get actively involved in our politics, in our democracy, in maintaining our democracy, because the Jamaica Labour Party seeks to erode it. All of their actions geared towards eroding democracy. We cannot have a prosperous country when we're deep, we are waist deep in corruption. As a matter of fact, it passed the belly. Because we're 44 out of 100. That means that we are 61. 57%, 56% deep in a corruption. Below par, ladies and gentlemen. Way below par. Alright? So I want to thank everybody for coming in. I don't know if anybody sent me. Well, Chantel did that bless me up. Big up Chantel. I want to invite you guys to join the fan club. Alright? Join the fan club, ladies and gentlemen. Alright? Become a member on TikTok. Okay, my people? Become a member. Feby, become a member. Feby always. Wilford Hutchinson, big up Monica. Presidential Media. Sharon. On TikTok. K. Kerr. Opal Clark. Kenneth Heron. CP. Roy. Patrick. Rosemary. Mitchell. Dale. Barbara. Godchild. Brett. Veta Brown. Ivan. One Top Boss. User. Rio. Goddamn. Okay. Doreen. X-Fan. HX-Fan. Keith. Roy. See how my Lady G. My TikTok wife. No, Lady G, you definitely have to become a member. You can't be TikTok wife and not support membership. It's not gonna work. Marley, don't worry yourself, man. Don't worry yourself. May I tell you something? Go ahead. That is the right receipt where you show me. Once you do that, you send me the thing and send me the receipt. I'm gonna send it to him. That is it. Alright? Hold on there. But before that, me call it afterwards when I'm done the live. Deloris, big up. Gerald Dixon, big up. Juni, Linton, big up. Everybody, big up. Thank you guys for being here, okay? Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys. Like I said, how me do that? Me new to all of this. Well, baby, if you want to support the platform, you have to link me on WhatsApp, yeah, man. Yo, I have to explain that. You have to link me on WhatsApp. Alright, take down my number. Mighty God. The number is 876-451. That's 876-451-6535. 876-451-6535. And Daryl Vaz, where's the money for the bus them? Where are the buses? Where are the rest of the buses? Where is the detailed paperwork on the $150 million US loan to the JPS? Where is it? You got that? 876-451-6535. Where is it? Where is it, Darren? Keisha, Rochester. I'm going to say the same thing to you that I told Dennis Chung. Do not take up that offer of being the secretary, the permanent secretary of the energy ministry, the energy ministry. If you have any integrity, you won't take up that post. If you take it, we don't say no integrity. Alright? Period. You're no different from a Dennis Chung. Period. Yes? That would be very unfortunate. I don't know you, but I would have to come to the conclusion that they don't have any integrity. Seriously. But then again, being so close to the Prime Minister, how could you? How could you? Big up on yourself, guys. Sooner or later, I'm out.